special session on Tuesday, May 23rd, 2017 at 9 a.m. Meeting room 2, 3rd floor, northeast corner, with 3 members present.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Okay, let's back up and do the Pledge of Allegiance
Let's
first.
do
Is
that.
that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, the board would hear the motion from Supervisor Slosik.
Motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
It's kind of like herding cats, isn't it?
It has been.
I'm a little nervous to take roll call.
Probably need a cat herder this morning.
Roll call, please.
Solosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, motion has been approved. The consent agenda then, we'll go on and approve the minutes from our special session as of April 25th, 2017.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
And I second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Solosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. The main part here is item number 3, which is the North Center Street Bridge discussion. And I had a visit with Brian Amundson here a couple of weeks ago, and Brian was asking me questions I didn't know. You know, when's this going to start? When do we have to get our fiber out? Where do we put our fiber? And I said, I don't know. And I said, let's get together and talk about it. And I called Paul. Paul says we can do that. So that's kind of where we're at. Jay, you want to start and come up here to the mic? Tell us who you are so that we've got it on the record. And then ask the specific questions that you need to know.
I'm Jay Duncan. I'm the plant manager with Heart of Iowa Communications, and we've got a fiber there on the North Center Street Bridge, and our concern is we didn't want to hold the bridge project up, so we're trying to plan and get out of the way or be ahead of it. So we didn't want to go where it would be in the way, and trying to get wanted a progress update on where that project stood.
Okay.
And kind of work together.
Okay. Paul, we'll turn it over to you.
There's enough government involved in this project that you don't have a chance of holding us up. There's a lot of agreements and a lot of approvals that we still have to get. The biggest one we're gonna have to get is the DNR. And I'm in the process of, I've been waiting to get the agreement with the city, between the city and the board, to find out some details. But what I think I'm gonna do is just move ahead with the 2080 agreement without all of the construction design details that we're talking about sidewalk and talking about different appurtenances and things that may be installed on the bridge. And I will put in the agreement just that we have the ability still to discuss those things. I wanted to have everything just kind of nailed down in the design in the agreement, but I think that may be a little unrealistic.
I know that the city wanted some additions to the bridge that were above and beyond what our considerations were. And I can't speak for my fellow supervisors, but my position is going to be on that is the city can ask for anything they want as long as they're willing to pay for any additions above and beyond what our design specs would be.
We have a little bit unique situation because this bridge isn't necessarily a rural bridge. So we've had most all of our structures are rural, but this is definitely a rural urban situation. And the existing bridge does have sidewalk on the west side, and I've from the beginning I've been intent on putting a sidewalk that's separated from the traffic from the traveled roadway on that side. Putting it on that side doesn't hurt us as far as hydraulics because it doesn't lower the lower part of the structure. If we put it on the east side, because the bridge has super elevation, it actually constricts flow a little bit more, and then the whole grade has to come up to compensate for that. But putting it on the west side is doable and is going to be a lot cheaper to do.
So you're talking of putting it on the upstream side?
Yes.
Okay.
And And then there's also gonna be discussion, I'm sure, of fence, and that wouldn't be much different than putting fencing up like what we would have over a viaduct crossing or a crossing that's over a rail line, and they require stuff like that. But there has been incidents of people jumping off this bridge and playing around it, and the fence would deter that. And I can see why the city may want something like that. Beyond those two, those are the only two things that I was really thinking were the potential add-ons. We've heard grumblings of, well, we want a trail, we want this, we want, and you can make the thing 80 feet wide before too long, and then our grant doesn't even begin to cover the construction cost. But the sidewalk would be separated from the roadway with the, the bridge beam, so there would be a safe area for people to cross. Then it would be wider and safer than it is right now.
No fence, though, between the traffic and this walkway?
I wouldn't, there would be just a guardrail. I mean, there'd be the bridge rail, it would be bridge rail, sidewalk, and then another rail outside of the sidewalk.
Okay.
And likely a fence on the outboard of both sides of the bridge. Now, whether it would just have to be on the sidewalk side, or whether it would have to be on both sides of the bridge, that's still to be discussed too. But the fence wouldn't be a huge expense anyway.
Okay, let's get back to what Jay's concerned about here. His fiber optic. When should he be thinking about having to get this off, and where can he put it while you're building the bridge?
My preference, and probably yours, would be to come up with a permanent solution that doesn't touch the bridge.
Yes.
And then you can have that done anytime this year or early next year and still not have to. I guess the plus side would be is after the project, you wouldn't have to come back and do anything else. You'd have things in place and have your area.
Is there plans or surveys or?
There's just preliminary at this point, so I don't have a good, we have not entered into any right-of-way negotiations yet, but since the land is, I think it's just Waterworks where we're gonna be dealing with on that bridge, so they're gonna be very cooperative landowners to get the bridge, and the right-of-way done. I can sure forward any plans that I have to you if you would like to.
That would be good.
I could email you or let you know when you could pick up a set. Cause
We can start looking at with our contractor,
okay.
make sure we got the right, we're going down the right path.
The-
On the shoulder on the west right now.
Okay. And the intent right now is to have, to also have a place for the water main to be attached to the new bridge as well. And as I understand it from Sincox, they can actually deadhead that line, and we don't have to have a temporary connection during construction. They can get by with the flow with the other routes that they have during construction. So that,
There's a gas main out there, right?
Is that-
Another communication line
on the bridge?
on the downstream side.
Okay. So there's still some, like I say, I really need to have a plan view and where we're gonna have for right of way. And, to get, as much as I can, I would like to get the utilities relocated before construction.
So Jay, what's your thought on as far as your company? If you went upstream,
Well, if water's gonna stay above ground, that helps. Right now, I would prefer to kind of stay on the west side, I believe, because that's where the slack and stuff would be.
Okay.
Just kind of depends on where the other ones are going, with gas and the.
Would your preference be to stay above ground too, or would it be, would you just wanna, I know a bore's gonna be expensive and it's gonna be a
There's
lone
sheet
bore.
wall in there on I call the northwest side.
Yeah.
I don't know how far down that goes.
I know that our plans right now are to use that as constructed and not tamper with it. Now, if that thing doesn't stay there, it changes what we're planning a lot. There's when we were looking at it, there was just no good way to go in there and either rebuild that or, without.
That's a really funky angle.
Yeah, the whole thing's kind of strange right there. And it's an undersized bridge, so that's why it gets the flow, and that's why there's another bridge just north of it, because in a high water situation, it takes both of those structures to take the water from the Iowa River. In low water, that second bridge, you can just walk under it. There's nothing under it. But it's a system, you know, that we need to get the river flow, the flood flow. That's the other thing, is if you were underground, then you're insulated from our high water and other issues that seem to happen there. That river doesn't want that road there at all. It doesn't like, and there's things that we're gonna have to do for grade stabilization on that west side of the road just to keep it, because we're losing a little bit of that shoulder every year.
On your other locations on the Iowa River, are you both above grade and below grade?
I would say 99% are below grade.
Okay. So if it would work out, that's what you would like to do here then?
I would like to be below grade.
Okay.
And then with the plans, we could get you far enough west that you're not gonna be in danger of us driving piling through your fiber, which would be ugly and expensive.
That'd be a good deal.
Do you have all my contact information? Because you can call, email, or anytime, and anytime you want to get an update, don't feel like you're bothering me. It's, you know, I can at least come up with the status on where we're at. We have a consultant hired. They're working on they've got the hydraulics, but it's the DNR approval of the hydraulics because of the large drainage area that the structure serves. So it's,
So if they came up with a plan of going underground upstream to the west, can they bring that to you and say,
certainly,
is
yeah.
this
And-
workable?
And what I could do is I can just take it to the consultant, but if you have a plan view to draw your design on, then it's easier if I give them our sheet first of what they've got for preliminary, because he may be proposing something that, no, there's no way that's gonna counter, you know, it's not gonna conflict with anything we're doing, and you'd be just fine to do that.
Well, we wanted to reach out and make sure that we weren't the holdup, and wanted to keep, so we could engineer and get our process.
Okay, yeah,
out of your
and
way, so.
And it's, yeah, my biggest fear is the DNR, is that it's not gonna, and then the other problem we have to deal with is wetlands mitigation, because we are gonna have some wetlands impacts out there. And it comes down to, there's places where we can actually buy mitigation acres and not have to just mitigate right near the bridge. And that's kind of that's a moving target as far as available wetlands acres. And so it's the DNR and the wetlands are gonna be our holdup. Right now, if everything went perfect, we could possibly be starting construction in 12 months. But that's the pie in the sky. Everything is just falls into place. So
So still, if it starts in 12 months, you'd still like to do this year? So that you're out of the way?
If the plans are ready, if the plans aren't ready, then we wouldn't risk it.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
the plans aren't ready, there's no way we can, you know what I mean? In the next, we have to have something available pretty quick, because we have to have concept plans into the DOT just to get a spot in a future letting in Ames. And I want to get that letting as early in the year as I can, because it's going to get more interested contractors.
Yep.
In spring is not a good time to be working out there.
No.
It would be good to get it done later this year for us,
Okay.
if you're gonna do construction
I,
June of next year.
there's a real possibility that there's a preliminary plan view that you can work off of and get everything you need off of. So I'll make contact with our consultant this week yet.
Off-topic question, do we still have all that debris on the west corner of that bridge? All the wood backup?
I think a lot of it's moved.
Okay.
Or it's got company. It changes too. But there's several ugly pieces up there that are coming down toward us, and I get an update occasionally from Gary Brandenburg, because he
Flies it.
puts aerial
Yeah.
surveillance on them, yeah.
We're willing to be here as long as you got questions, but when you're done, okay? Thank you for coming down, and we kind of get this thing talked over and some plans here made, so. If that's it, we thank you for coming, and we're gonna move along then. Okay, thanks, guys, appreciate you coming down.
Thanks.
Paul, thanks for participating and getting this stuff ready to go. For the auditors, and I should have said this to begin with, Jay Duncan was replacing Brian Amundson. Okay, item number 4 is region number 6, planning view. Discussion item, Marty Wymore, Region 6 Executive Director, will discuss with the Board of Supervisors the 5-year Regional Community Development Need Inventory to help identify projects that will help improve the regional economy. So, Mr. Wymore, you are up.
Yeah, thank you. So every 5 years for the U.S. Economic Development Administration, we go out to cities and counties across the Region 6 area to ask some basic questions and kind of develop a wish list of sorts of economic development needs that their city or county may have. So today I'm here to more or less gather any lists of infrastructure projects or capital improvement projects that you would have that would be economic development related for the county here.
Capital improvement projects that we would have going on with Marshall Economic Development. If we could get some assistance for the rail spur that would be off of the Alliant operating plant that would be going towards the industrial park, would be a huge increase for us. If we can get that rail spur, we can expand the industrial park exponentially. With the new Alliant plant, we have several economic development people looking at us, and that would be an integral part of our infrastructure that would give us a pretty good heads up. Some other things that we would like to do, if we could get possibly some assistance through Region 6, would possibly to be have a spec building in our industrial park. That would help. And that's just two things. We're going to see a lot of economic development that's going to get tagged along with this Alliant operating station. There's no doubt about it that this has the ability to bring several different interested parties into our area that are going to benefit both the city and the county.
Marty, if you'd like to sit at the table and move your mic,
Or switch with Paul.
yeah. That's, I didn't realize, I was looking here, and that's hard for you to do, so.
That's no problem.
Thank you, Paul.
Any other
Well,
projects?
we're always pushing for value-added ag products. If there's any possible grants or things we can get through Region 6 there. We've still got one more spot out to the Consumers Energy industrial location that could be filled. It'd be nice if we could tag on and get a value-added egg
Yeah,
spot there.
There's one spot.
As far as county infrastructure, buildings, facilities, things
If
that
you
way.
get us a grant to help us fix the roof of the courthouse, that'd be good.
Oh, really? That needs to be redone?
We need to replace it
Yeah,
eventually, probably in the next
That
4
clock- From
years.
the clock tower up is metal. And if you look at that, it's starting to turn color. That means there's pinholes in it and there's rust coming through. But, we've been been talking about that and strategizing that before it falls apart.
We were working very hard at a state historical grant here 2 years ago. Jasper County got $560,000 through the Historical Society. They did renege on it when the people at the Historical Society paid their salaries out of the grant money rather than put the grant out. So those monies have disappeared. But yep, Lucas is definitely looking at, I think we put it in about 4 years out on the roof, didn't we?
Yeah, 4 years probably max.
And
There's also some updates that should be done at the annex building. Sheriff's office needs windows and an HVAC upgrade.
and very, very possibly looking at a possibly different shop location for our secondary road department.
The one here in Marshalltown?
Yes. It's pretty antiquated.
It's vintage.
Yes, vintage. It's old.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's old.
Being kind.
Kind of like, not like the youngest member of the
Our
supervisors.
shop is way past middle age.
Yeah. Also the possibility of a shop facility for county conservation moving from its current location at the county fairgrounds. We own that property there, to possibly having it out at the Grimes Farm. That would be an immense help to us. Sure be nice to have generating capacities and backup generating capacities in all 4 of our secondary road shops out in the, our maintenance shops out in the county. So in the event of a prolonged power failure, everybody can be refueling at the shop, doors up and down, things on that order.
As far as the sewer facility out at the sheriff's office, any issues there? Okay, that's good. I hear, obviously, in the city contacts I've made, there's lots of sewer problems.
We're pretty good there, because that's relatively new. That was put in and upgraded when they did the Consumers Energy project out there on the corner. Of course, we're constantly working on the Community Development Block Grant for a possible sewage lagoon and system in Green Mountain. You're already in on that.
Yeah, the other rural towns like Lamoille and Dunbar and those places, are those similar problems, or?
Oh, I don't think there's any sewage lagoons in any of our smaller communities that are not having flow problems. That seems to be the number one thing the DNR is coming up with, to really put tremendous burdens on our smaller towns, and just by the nature of their dollars amount they have to levy against, it's very tight. I mean, there's been substantial improvements at the lagoons down in La Grande, St. Anthony, Laurel, but there's a lot more that need it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
some of those that they've been worked on, at least in the last 10 years. But the other towns you mentioned, Laurel, yeah, they could be in trouble.
So I know Green Mountain has some focus on it right now to put in sewers there, but like Lamoille is another unincorporated town, or Dunbar is unincorporated, or they're.
Yeah, but they don't have lagoons, and we don't have the problems there that we've got in Green Mountain because of the lot sizes.
Okay, so they're.
The reason we've got the problem in Green Mountain is by DNR code, you can't put a septic system on a lot that is smaller than 1 acre. So if somebody has a system fail,
Sure.
they can't replace it, and then you wind up with a building that can't be sold, and when you're in an unincorporated area, eventually that gets turned back over to the county and becomes a headache to us, and that's something we really want to eliminate.
But Marty, that's a good comment though, because we really haven't surveyed, by at least asking these small towns or the unincorporated towns, are you having problems? And we just haven't heard about it. And maybe as supervisors, we need to do that, so that we at least have an idea of what type of plan we're gonna need in the future.
Yeah, I assume John Kuntz would let you know if there's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
similar type problem there. I just haven't asked the question.
Well, and it hasn't come up. He hasn't brought,
Okay.
normally John brings those kinds of things up. But I haven't asked that question, and I think I need to ask that, or the supervisors need to ask that question. And,
Have you worked with LeGrand in the last 12 months?
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
right there,
So
definitely
they're-
on the radar.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're in the process of it now.
Right, there's a whole list, long list of communities like them around
Yep.
this area that have big sewer projects.
You know,
Upcoming.
getting back to Paul, and talking about an unincorporated area, if we look at Quarry, we've got a situation in Quarry where we run into entrance and egress to the town when there's a high water event. It'd be nice, but very expensive to raise the grade on the east side of Quarry.
Out to Zeller would be an asset, because currently the only paved route to Quarry is over a weight-restricted bridge that in times of high water, Quarry ends up on an island.
Yeah,
But if the grade were raised to the east and you could get out to Zeller from Quarry, then that would give at least Quarry around dry land most of the time.
So the road over the railroad tracks there, is that the?
That's a weight restricted bridge,
Yeah, okay.
and it's owned by the railroad. I-
can we get fire trucks over that?
Depends how much water you put it in.
Yeah. See, that was our concern, and, if you can't get fire trucks in, or ambulances wouldn't be as
Yeah.
heavy.
I'm not positive that the LeGrand Fire Chief doesn't live in Quarry.
Oh,
if I remember right, he does.
okay, I didn't know that.
If we really, really wanted to swing for the fence, getting some sort of probably state or federal money to raise the grade on Highway 14 north of the the Highway 14 bridge, so that in the event of high water, that is not closed. That has a tremendous economic development problem, specifically for our individuals that are bringing livestock into JBS. When that's closed, they have to literally take a 60-mile round trip to be able to bring their product to town. So if you really want to swing for the fence, and
That could be 100 semis,
Yeah.
just coming from the north alone.
if I needed to put one thing on my economic development list that we could get federal dollars from, that'd probably be it.
That would be huge.
That'd be just off the charts.
It would just be nice if in a high water event, the first two roads that go underwater are primary roads.
Yeah. Because what that does is it causes us, not only if we've got Highway 14 closed, we've got Center Street closed, we also have Timmins Grove closed south of Albion. That causes us to have to station an ambulance on the north side of the river and the south side of the river. So we've got community protection issues because we physically can't get, somebody that has a medical problem to medical facilities in Marshalltown. They've got to wind up either in Grundy Center or Waterloo.
Well, this is a great list of projects. Again, if there's ever an infrastructure bill or some sort of special funding for projects like this, obviously, if I see that come across, I can get back in touch with the supervisors and say, well, here's an opportunity to pursue.
We'd appreciate that.
You guys think anything else? I mean, we threw a lot out on the table.
I think much past that, my list.
Okay. Well, you know what happens when you put a quarter in me, it just,
We keep tokens in the office.
they'd like Oaks Avenue paved.
I'm not sure where Oak.
That's an inside joke,
Oh,
just let
okay.
that one go by. Economic development. I can't think anything else at this time.
Okay, yeah, this is quite a comprehensive list, so I appreciate this. I'll give Paul his seat back here.
I'm not sure. I need to talk. Do I need to go back up there?
Nope, unless you want to address this.
You're good to go.
It's not on the agenda, so we're gonna talk about the fuel system, but should we plan on talking about that at a future meeting?
That's something we could talk about because actually, one of us tabled that. So we
Right.
could bring that back at any time.
I didn't bring an extensive amount of information because it wasn't on the agenda. but
If you want to talk about it, I will remove that from the table. I think
Would you like to remove it from the table?
I think by Robert's Rules of Order,
Yeah,
I can
that's-
do that at any time, can I?
We have a meeting here.
I would like to propose, and I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we remove from the table what was previously placed on for the fuel charges for the other municipal agencies.
Is there a second?
And I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded, it's not debatable, so roll call vote, please.
Solosek,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes,
Thompson.
Yes.
motion carried. That motion has been removed from the table. It is now open for discussion at this time. Marty, before we get going here, I just want to thank you for coming. We just kind of slid right on past into something else here, but I wasn't ignoring you.
You may want to stay and listen to this, because this will have an effect on you also with Region 6, because you guys buy your fuel through our stations also.
I
Go ahead.
think the way we had left it, I had taken the fuel data and the expenditures that we made on the fuel system for the last 10 years, and in looking at costs of just maintaining the fuel system and the leak detection and all the, and I was mostly, the biggest cost factor is Marshalltown. We do have underground fuel tanks at all 4 outlying sheds for diesel, and also leak protection and the key reader systems and everything like we use in Marshalltown too. Over the past 10 years, we've spent nearly $94,000 on our fuel system, and that's just the service calls and upkeep and parts and maintenance to keep what we have. And then if I add in what we're estimating for personnel costs with just dealing with keys and dealing with restocking and fuel system and just regular maintenance and things that we have to do to keep it running, it ends up being about $275,000 that we've spent over 10 years for fuel systems. So our break even for fuel is 12 cents over what we pay for it, for the gallon. It costs Marshall County 12 cents to pump every gallon of fuel over average of 10 years. And we were talking about raising we currently do pass an upcharge on to the customers of 5 cents. And the other factor is that 12 cents that it costs us to pump fuel has zero added in for future construction. There's nothing in there to replace an underground storage tank. There's nothing in there to replace the pumps or the dispensers. The dispensers that we have, we purchased used, and I think a couple of them have 1 million gallons through them. So it's a lot of usage for these dispensers. So the 12 cents is break even, keep what we have right now, keep the system. And if we're gonna look at any future construction, and we know that the underground storage tanks at some point are gonna need replaced. It's just they get tested every year, and the people doing the tests will not say you have a couple years left, or you have, you know what I mean? They'll give you, they just don't want to get painted into a corner. So they'll give you the status and they pass or they fail, and they're, you know, they may sometimes tell you, hey, you should be concerned about, you know, Gasohol in Marshalltown, you know, for that tank. And
Then are you looking at a possibility of a different fuel site and going above ground?
there's pros and cons to going above ground, below ground, and it's my thoughts of if we replace anything at the outlying sheds, I would go above ground there. For the biggest reason is that we don't have outside entities purchasing diesel from us that, so I think having all of the underground and all of the automated dispensing at the outside sheds is a little bit overkill.
Okay.
We could probably deal with a 1,000-gallon, you know, above ground tank and just basically have it padlocked and have the operators log everything they use. Tell us when it's getting low and we refill it. There's a little bit of risk involved there because someone could break into something and steal quite a bit of fuel, but it's
It's diesel, so that's different.
right.
If they know, sometimes the people stealing aren't smart enough to know. We've had that.
Are all of your outlying facilities fenced?
Yes.
I know the one in
fenced and
Ferguson
locked at
is.
night.
Yeah.
And as good as, you know, that, if we want to believe that makes it secure.
Bit of a
we can.
deterrent.
A
Yeah.
lock only keeps an honest person
It
honest.
might make the insurance company happier.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think when we talked about this before, without question, when those tanks finally fail, I think we should cease being in the fuel delivery system
That's,
and go towards what the state is doing with their cards.
and that's WEX fleet. I've contacted the DOT, and that's what this WEX system is.
When you looked at that, what type of, do they get a discount when they're going and buying when they use that at the pump?
I'm not positive that it isn't just based on pump price. And I think that with the government WEX accounts, and I need to contact the person at the DOT to find out, but to take the taxes off, so you don't pay the taxes that we're gonna get refunded anyway. But I don't know that it's any better deal than pump price when you pump it.
So right now, if we go under that premise that when our tanks finally do fail, we're probably gonna execute the fuel delivery business. What we have to look forward to as far as recovering some possible costs for equipment would be in the pump card readers and things on that order.
And the only thing that is relatively new is the leak detection system. The rest of it has enough hours and time on it that it's not gonna be worth very much. The pumps have, you know, the dispensers are definitely aged to the place where they're not gonna be worth much.
Let's say we just did this. Let's say we go from the current 7 cent upcharge, or current 5, add 7 and get up to the current to 12, which would put us at a break-even point. Let's take that one step further. For every penny that we add to that upcharge, what kind of dollars does it bring in so that you can build a fund for replacement of the card readers, the pumps, and the rest of the delivery system? I don't want us to be making money on this, but I don't want us to subsidize a bunch of other taxing entities
It,
also.
it would be minimal. I mean, we're talking
So if you got a penny, would it get you there
it's $2,000.
for each penny?
Yeah.
Okay.
So $2,000 a year doesn't change our world much at all.
No, it sure doesn't.
And that's why I want to get the details on WEX, because I'm sure that the DOT has looked at it 800 different ways, and they decided that this was their best bet. Now,
Because I know Marty with Region 6, I sign a lot of checks going to other places. Are they just going to stations, or do we have another?
Yeah, and then again, the 3 of the 4. And again, I know when we originally set it up, they were, taking off the federal fuel tax, but the state is still on.
Oh, it is?
So we can fill out a different set of forms to get reimbursed on the state side, but the federal is taken off, so that's maybe 20 cents a gallon, something like that.
Is it,
Yeah.
do you see any major cost differences, or is it still just it's a comparable to what?
Yeah, it's pump price, they're not giving any discount for.
So we're selling you our fuel through the county at a lower per gallon fee than them.
I believe so. I
It-
would have to go back and run the numbers.
Lately, I've been, just watching it, and it seems like what we've been buying for rack price has been around 40 cents less than what pump price is. Now that, you never know exactly where they're at on their inventory, and if they're on, if they've got a more expensive load in there right now and fuel's going down. But when we buy fuel, we buy it on the, on the hour. I mean, it's like, that price is good now, and it's not gonna necessarily be good at 3 o'clock today. So we just get quotes, and they're instant, and they bring it to us.
I'm just thinking where we want to go here. We can, this sounds dumb, but we can table this again and bring it up later, because we're not ready to make a decision.
I don't want to wait too doggone long, though, because I think we should be telling all these other entities before they start their next fiscal process, which is going to be July 1st.
Well, maybe we could do that.
I think we
Yeah.
need to go to at least get up to the
12
12
cents.
cents to break even.
What if we went to 15 cents, Paul? That gives you about $6,000 to work with per year. Is that anything, or is that still kind of a?
Yeah, it's gonna be an extra, extra $5,000 or $6,000 revenue that we can, there's, the expenses on maintaining the fuel system aren't consistent. I mean, it's everywhere from $3,000 in 1 year to a couple of years that were $24,000 each. If there's large ticket items that get replaced, and it's, the biggest part is the leak detection system, because if leak detection isn't working, it won't let you pump anything. You can't just, okay, let's just
Shut it
bypass
off.
this, and no, it stops.
So if you had about $6,000 coming in, which would be an additional 3 cents, would be if we went to 15 cents, over the average, that's gonna pretty much get you where you gotta be to break even.
I think if we went to 15 cents, most years, the revenue from the upcharge will pay for at least the outside fueling, when we have to have contractors come in and work on parts for the fuel system. The maintenance, the things that we need that are the wear items, and the things that, I would have pretty good confidence that we would at least be covering that side of it.
Mr. Chairman, I would motion that we change our upcharge fee to 15 cents, starting July 1st, 2017, to everybody that we are providing fuel to.
And I would second.
Been moved and seconded. Madam Auditor, is that clear for you?
An additional 15 cents or 15 cents?
Go
total?
to 15 cents total. So we will be
Okay.
going from 5 to 15, we'll be adding a dime. And at least that gets us to the point where we've done no harm and we're breaking even,
Yep.
which was my intent when we started looking at this.
I think it was everyone's
Yeah.
intent. Yeah.
You know, we don't want to make money, but we don't want to be subsidizing everybody else either.
When we, well, let's talk, any further discussion on this?
This could be changed at any time, right? We could just run this for a year if we choose to, right?
Yeah,
If-
or
if
longer,
Paul
you know,
finds that's
until,
just not
until we would direct
enough.
Paul look into it and change it again, but I think that's quite fair.
This is something that we can change.
The hard work was just getting the 10-year history. Keeping this, current is not gonna be difficult to keep the data, that we've got collected here, so.
Is there any further discussion or questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosek.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. The motion has been passed, carried. Paul, when you do this, are you planning on sending a little paragraph explaining our costs and why we're gonna do this?
We can send it with everybody's May statement.
Yeah, so that they understand the reason.
I'll send it in May and June.
Okay, so that they don't think that we just arbitrarily decided to raise it 10 cents, so.
I can share this information with the departments if you'd like to.
Okay.
Is that my department as well? Is it inside Marshall County as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. When I was doing the totals for the fuel, I included every gallon that we pumped. I mean, even the secondary roads gallons cost us 12 cents a gallon to pump. I mean, I added in everything. In 11 years, we pumped over 3 million gallons of fuel.
Okay.
Hard to believe.
It's a lot.
Okay. Well, again, I want to thank Paul for coming. Thank Marty for coming. If there's nothing else,
Marty, I thought of one more. This is getting back to public safety, and this is something that has come up several times. In our rural communities, many of them do not have a siren system. And it would be wonderful if we could come up with a siren system that was different from the fire siren, so it wouldn't be confused if there's a fire call. One that would be specific for weather and wind. Got a couple comments from some of our rural areas with this last windstorm that the sirens didn't go off and wondering why. And the 911 center is the one that does the call out for all the notifications for the sirens. They simply didn't get the notification from the weather service that the high wind was quick enough. There was a tornado warning out, but not the high wind. But yeah, if there were some safety dollars out there, that would be an assistance for our rural communities.
okay. Moving on to item number 5, adjournment. The next regular session is May 30th, 2017 at 9 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the County Auditor, Recorder's Office, or the Board of Supervisors' Office by Thursday, May 25, 2017 at 1 p.m. There being no further business to come before the board, the meeting is adjourned at 9:50.
Whatever.
We're gonna call it 9:50 a.m. Thanks again for coming.
You can.
My phone concurs.
Okay,
So that's the nuclear time?
You got cellular time.
Good, how are you?